Weather wars, crazy anomalies discovered via radar, Navy maps, etc. Fact or fiction? What the heck are these anomalies? Well, it could be something very simple. It could be something very complicated. Now, there was something on Space Weather's YouTube channel. There was a link that I found. I had never heard of this channel before, but somebody sent me the link, and I watched it, and I'm not convinced that all the anomalies that we're seeing on this map are from the described by the explanation that this guy gave. I will say, though, it certainly does make me wonder if some of the anomalies, at least, could be from this. Now, let me explain this as best as I can, and also, if you want to know more about another possibility of what these crazy radar signals are, then check this video out, because he goes into detail. His name is Space Weather, and the video is titled Solved MIC Map Anomaly. So you notice how it kind of is like a rolling pattern in the background. You'll see it behind the different colors, these straight lines that tend to pop out of place. Well, some of them might actually be from the satellites. Now, these are low orbiting satellites that pick up imagery of the planet. They do, they go around and round and round and round, and they pick up these giant swaths of the globe. And you can see in between that they sometimes miss parts of the planet. So this collage of data, when you watch the video, this is a multitude of satellites and algorithms and information that has been put together, compiled to look as smooth and fluid as possible via video. But you see how this satellite takes these, these swaths of footage, and then it's missing parts of it as it goes through. So when we go back here and look at this, like this straight line right there, the one that's completely solid, not the one that kind of goes off into radar mode, but that one as well could be, could be just some type of anomaly by the way that it's picking up the information. I'm still not convinced by either this gentleman's conclusions or the theories that myself and others have came up with about the weather being manipulated via radar. Or could it be a combination of the two? Very interesting indeed. Now, this right here, I want to give you an update on Hurricane Irma. As you can see, the jet streams out here, this is earth.nullschool.net. Most projections are showing that the path of Irma is going to hit many of the islands and then go up the east coast. So, depending on what happens with this hurricane, it could get really nasty. They're saying a possibility of a Cat 5. I went directly to, look at this in infrared. You can get another example on what's still going on. Looks like there's something else forming in Mexico, or just outside of Mexico, actually. Something happy's forming up there. And then also, I was looking at California. It looks like something's going on in California also. So let's go back here. This is National Hurricane Center directly. The discussion. This came out today, Saturday, September 2nd, 2017. Hurricane Irma continues to display an eye within a small central dense overcast and the visible and infrared imagery from the GOES and Meteosat satellites. Dvorak currently intensity numbers from TAFB, SAB, and the CIM, SS, ADT have not changed, so the intensity remains 95 KT. Let's look at the key message here. Irma is expected to be a major hurricane when it moves closer to the Lesser Antilles early next week, producing rough surf and rip currents. Irma could also cause dangerous wind, storm surge, and rainfall impact on some islands, although it is too soon to specify where and when those hazards could occur. Residents in the Lesser Antilles should monitor the progress of Irma through the weekend and listen to any advice given by local officials. Wow. Thank you, Captain Obvious. I appreciate that. it's still almost impossible to get fuel in San Antonio. It's very difficult in Dallas. Dallas got all of Oklahoma's fuel from somebody that I know that lives in Oklahoma. That's what they said. Now, I doubt they got all of their fuel from Oklahoma, but much of it. So it's kind of like let me borrow some from you, and later I'll give you some back. Who gets the piece of the pie? Now, the refineries are supposed to be opened back up shortly, so we'll see what happens. But what about Irma? What's Irma going to do? Now, this is the 5-day forecast of Irma, but this was from yesterday. I'm very interested to get your take on the possibility of these radar anomalies just being empty space from satellites when they do their rounds, so they have algorithms that picks up the difference, as well as some satellites use a radar signal to pick up what the Earth looks like from low orbit. So maybe another satellite picks up that radar while it's doing those swaths, and because the software isn't fluid enough, it adds that into the mix. Once again, I'm not convinced. I am bringing both sides of the coin to you, and let's get to the bottom of this. And even if this isn't proof of weather manipulation, I certainly still feel, without a shadow of a doubt, that they are in full force with the weather manipulation. The powers that be, those that pay the bills for the government. Now let's think about this for a minute. What if an agreement was made on the table to cause mass destruction on the east and west coast so other countries could come in and buy the land for pennies on the dollar? I wonder how difficult it would be with everything that's in play right now, if it hasn't already been triggered of a coup, to where literally people that think for themselves, people that are born in the United States of America, those that have certain Christian values or beliefs that they have the right to speak their mind or own a gun, or I don't know, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, etc., very key values, strong values. If you have any of those, and if you don't usurp up to the Borg, and if you don't lick the boots of your masters, will they round you up? Now, is there really such thing as a red list? I don't know. Here's what I feel about the threat matrix on people. Now, I can't verify this as fact. I can show plenty of evidence to point to this. Most people probably have a threat matrix score. Now, that might put them on some list. I'm sure there's a multitude of lists. I mean, you've seen the MIAC report where they were putting people that thought, people that literally thought that there might be a banking cartel that controls the majority of the world, or the media is controlled by a monopoly, etc. Stuff like that. Or if you're a Ron Paul supporter, or if you were a returning veteran, or if you were a gun owner, or if you were a Christian, any of those things would get you put on this MIAC report as a possible domestic terrorist. So there's plenty of lists. Most likely, though, I feel that there is a threat matrix score that everybody has, or just about everybody, that if it gets to a certain level, then there will be more precautionary measures to keep an eye on you via electronically, so that it's not like they have to have somebody following you around. But then it could probably get to a point to where, hey, maybe you're too much of a threat, and what better time to take care of that threat than if there is a martial law, civil war, roundups. Stuff's been talked about for years. And you know what else, guys? For all of you that get a hard time by others, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, man. You're crazy, dude. You're one of those truthers, aren't you? How many times have you been right before and they've been wrong? Weather manipulation, chemical trails, stratospheric aerosol injections, poisons in the vaccines, poisons in the food. How many times have you been right before and they were wrong? And now this time they think it's the other way around. Well, you know the definition of insanity, don't you? Expecting different results, doing the same thing over and over and over and over. Like a dilapidated zombie that sucks his thumb while he's... Anyway, most people, even if they're smart, they let that get in their own way. Because they don't question the status quo. They don't question the possibilities. They don't want to. Like, if I was wrong about the HAARP thing, hey, Man, I hope I am wrong. So I mean, that video's taken off, and I'm bringing this video out to counter that if this is legit. When I say this, referring to these anomalies that we're picking up via MIMC. That's the name of it, right? MIMIC. Yeah, there you go. So I would much rather get to the truth, especially if it's presenting itself, than just being like, oh, it's got to be HAARP for sure, man. It has to be. That's HAARP. Or something like HAARP. Now, I definitely think that there are mobile units that are similar to HAARP around the world that can be activated. And I am still not convinced that all these anomalies that I'm seeing on the screen, especially these radar anomalies that are south of Brazil and that really long one that goes across the screen that has multiple signatures, I am not 100% convinced that that is just from missing data from these satellites that are picking up the images and then sending it back to the software program that connects to the algorithms to make it as smooth and fluid as possible as a video. But it certainly seems like, especially that one solid line at about the 180 position, seems to be like that could be some type of missing data from one of these satellites. So here's an alternative version, folks. What do you think? Let's get to the bottom of this. And let's find out how much manipulation is really going on with the weather. I mean, I showed you the data directly from the Texas government Weather Modification Board showing that they had an order for heavy cloud seeding on the 24th of August, which is the same day that Houston flooded insanely. And they're seeding the clouds to cause rain west in Pecos. Yes, that's quite a ways away, but it's still in Texas. And how close is that with the jet streams? Do they link up to that? Was that a precursor to this? Was that just one extra match thrown in the fire to cause that hurricane? And don't you love the names that they pick? And who picks them? Where are you? Just joking. So there you go, folks. Can't wait to hear what you have to say. Question everything. Be excellent to each other. And be the change you want to see. LeakProject.com.